The mugshot went everywhere. King Harris, 21 years old, son of one of the most consequential figures in the history of Atlanta rap, standing in front of a booking camera in the middle of the night wearing a full-body bright yellow Pikachu costume while the charges were being read into the system. Felony possession of a controlled substance. Misdemeanor obstruction of law enforcement. Speeding. Seatbelt violation. 4 separate charges from a single traffic stop at 1 in the morning in Gwinnett County, Georgia, while dressed as a Pokemon character. The image spread across every platform simultaneously. The jokes came immediately. The memes multiplied by the hour. King Harris himself posted selfies from custody comparing the police to Team Rocket, the villains from the Pokemon animated series. He wrote about living a good Pikachu life and coming back to Atlanta to find Team Rocket waiting. He was not rattled. He was not scared. He was posting. And then the footage surfaced. Not footage of the arrest. Footage of T.I. arriving at the facility to see his son during his detention. And the moment that footage started circulating, the conversation changed completely. Because what people saw in T.I.'s face and his body language and the weight that visibly sat on him as he walked through those doors had nothing to do with Pokemon costumes or memes or social media jokes. It was a father who has been inside the system himself, watching history threatening to repeat through his own child. That footage went viral not because of celebrity gossip. It went viral because everyone watching recognized something universal in it. The specific anguish of a parent watching their child spiral. Amplified 1,000 times by the public stage the Harris family has always occupied. By the end of this breakdown, you're going to understand the full picture of what happened, the arrest, the charges, the pattern that led here, and what the footage of T.I. visiting his son actually revealed about where this family is right now. Every detail documented from TMZ complex jail records and public statements on record. No speculation added to a story that is already disturbing enough on its own. Let us get into all of it. From the speeding ticket that became a felony to the father who has been trying to stop this from happening since before it started. Early Sunday morning. Approximately 1 in the morning. Gwinnett County, Georgia. King Harris is driving at 60 miles per hour in a 45-mile-per-hour zone. Officers clock him speeding and initiate a traffic stop. For most people, a routine interaction. A citation. Maybe a court date. 90 minutes of your night and then you drive home. For King Harris, it went somewhere else entirely. When officers approached the vehicle, they reportedly noticed a firearm inside the car. They ordered Harris to exit the vehicle. According to multiple reports, Harris refused to comply with that order. That refusal, not the speeding, not the firearm, not anything else, is what produced the obstruction charge. The decision in that moment to not step out of the car when a police officer gave a direct order. Officers then searched the vehicle. What they found was a vape pen containing 10 milligrams of THC. A small amount. But in the state of Georgia, possession of a controlled substance, even in small quantities, carries felony classification depending on the substance type. And THC vape products have been prosecuted as Schedule 1 or Schedule 2 substances in Georgia courts in ways that produce felony charges even when the quantities involved seem minor. So by the time King Harris was booked into Gwinnett County custody, the charges looked like this. Felony possession of a controlled substance. Misdemeanor willful obstruction of law enforcement officers. Speeding citation. Seatbelt violation. 4 separate charges from a single traffic stop. And he was wearing a full-body Pikachu onesie. TMZ broke the story and it spread across every major outlet within hours. The mugshot, King Harris in bright yellow Pokemon pajamas standing in front of a booking camera, became one of the most shared images on social media overnight. Harris was released after posting bond following the weekend incident. But his response to the arrest is what turned a standard celebrity traffic stop story into something the culture could not stop talking about. Rather than keeping a low profile in the immediate aftermath, rather than letting the moment pass quietly while his legal team assessed the situation, King Harris documented the entire thing on his Instagram stories. Selfies in the Pokemon outfit. Jokes about Team Rocket. Posts containing profanity directed at the police and provocative remarks aimed at an officer's family. Some fans praised the refusal to be shaken. Others pointed out that laughing about a felony arrest on social media while the charges are still pending is exactly the kind of behavior that turns a manageable legal situation into a catastrophic one. And then the footage of T.I. arriving to the facility started circulating. And everything shifted. To understand why the footage of T.I. visiting his son hit the way it hit, you need to understand the full weight of what T.I. was walking into that facility carrying. And that requires understanding King Harris's entire trajectory. Not just the most recent arrest. The full arc of a young man who has never once been allowed to make his mistakes in private. King Harris grew up on camera. Literally. The T.I. and Tiny family has been a reality television presence since King was a child. Every milestone, every conflict, every moment of growth and regression. Filmed, edited, broadcast, and consumed by millions of viewers who followed the family across multiple seasons and multiple platforms. Most children and teenagers are making their mistakes in the relative privacy of their own lives. King Harris never had that luxury. His entire development happened in public view. T.I., born Clifford Joseph Harris Jr., is one of the most consequential figures in Southern hip-hop history. He helped pioneer trap music. He built an empire through Grand Hustle Records. He starred in films. He wrote books. He built a brand that extended far beyond music into television business and cultural commentary. But T.I.'s story is also marked by his own deeply complicated relationship with the American legal system. He was arrested on federal weapons charges in 2007. He served time in federal prison. He was released and then violated his probation terms and went back behind bars. He has been through the system from the inside. He knows what it does to people. He knows how it breaks families. He knows what happens when a young man with talent and resources and every possible advantage still finds himself on the wrong side of a courtroom. And he has been vocal, repeatedly and publicly, about his fear that his son King is headed down a path he recognizes because he walked it himself. That fear has not been private. T.I. has expressed it in interviews, on social media, in the family's reality television presence. He has positioned himself as someone who turned his life around after the consequences caught up with him. Someone who learned from what happened and has spent years trying to steer his children away from the specific traps he fell into. And now he is walking through the doors of a detention facility to visit that same son who has a felony charge on the books. Here is what people who only followed the Pikachu costume story missed. This was not a random incident. This was not an isolated bad night that could have happened to anyone. This was the latest data point in a pattern that has been building for years and that anyone paying attention could see coming long before last Sunday morning. The timeline makes it completely undeniable. 2022 King Harris is still a teenager. His first widely publicized run-in with law enforcement. Arrested for not wearing a seatbelt during a traffic stop. During that stop, a female voice is heard on video explaining the charges to him, telling the young artist he had 4 counts against him from that single interaction. Even back then, the response was defiance rather than reflection. He laughed about the arrest and said, "The king is back, I am free." That 2022 incident produced charges for speeding, driving with a suspended license, and operating under the influence of drugs. When King failed to show up for his court date, a bench warrant was issued for his arrest. That warrant sat dormant, waiting. October 2024. King Harris is accused of nearly hitting a police officer at a Dunwoody gas station and is taken into custody after an officer smelled marijuana in his car. Body camera footage from that arrest later surfaced online, giving the public a close look at how the interaction unfolded. According to the arresting officer's report, Harris was cooperative when officers removed a firearm that was holstered on his hip. He was initially booked into DeKalb County Jail before being transferred to Pickens County authorities because when officers ran his information, the dormant bench warrant from the 2022 failure to appear surfaced in the system. It had been sitting there waiting for exactly this moment. Eventually, the Pickens County charges from that 2024 incident were officially dropped in August 2025. A clean slate. A genuine chance to move forward without the weight of those charges following him into whatever came next. 8 months of what should have been a complete reset, financially, legally, and personally. During those 8 months, King's personal life moved in a genuinely meaningful direction. He welcomed a baby boy into the world. He announced the birth on Instagram. His mother, Tiny Harris, was overjoyed, publicly sharing photos from the baby shower, celebrating the pregnancy with family and friends, and writing about how thrilled she was to be welcoming a grandson. Here was a young man who had just become a father, whose previous charges had been wiped away, whose family was gathering around him to celebrate something new. 8 months later, he is standing in a Gwinnett County booking room at 1 in the morning in a Pikachu costume with a new felony charge being added to his record. The juxtaposition is the story. The distance between November 2025, welcoming a child into the world, and April 2026, felony possession and obstruction, is 8 months. The distance between the dropped charges that were supposed to represent a fresh start and the new charges that erased that fresh start is exactly 8 months. And T.I., a man who knows precisely what the inside of a booking room looks and feels and smells like, has watched every step of this happen from a position he understands more intimately than almost any other parent in public life could. It is also worth noting what King Harris said publicly about himself during this period. In an appearance on The Morning Hustle, he spoke about his relationship with fame, public perception, and the incidents that keep his name in the headlines. He confirmed that the viral Waffle House confrontation was over getting pickles on an order he had explicitly asked to not have pickles on. He said the worker had an attitude and threw his food. He escalated it on Instagram Live. He defended every decision as authentic expression rather than calculated performance. He also addressed the ongoing conflict with 50 Cent, specifically the decision to wear a shirt bearing 50 Cent's late mother's face in response to what he felt was 50 targeting his own mother first. The retaliatory energy, the refusal to back down, the willingness to escalate beyond any point where most people would have stopped. That same energy, the authentic unfiltered version of King Harris that he has always defended as his genuine truth, is what produced a Pokemon costume arrest at 1 in the morning and Instagram posts joking about a felony charge while the proceedings are still active. He described the difference between curated reality television and his actual everyday life. He said the reality show showed a controlled image, but his social media shows exactly who he is when the official cameras stop rolling. For King, that is a point of pride. The absence of a filter is his authenticity. The problem is that the same absence of filter that he sees as his most genuine quality is also what keeps producing a legal record that is getting harder to dismiss with each new entry. Here is where the Pokemon jokes stop being funny and the stakes become completely real. The felony possession charge is the most serious of the 4 charges from this arrest. In the state of Georgia, possession of a controlled substance classified under the state's Controlled Substances Schedule can carry significant penalties, including mandatory minimum sentences and prison time depending on the specific substance and the specific circumstances of the arrest. THC vape products have been prosecuted in Georgia courts under Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 classifications in ways that produce felony charges even when the quantities involved seem minor to outside observers. 10 milligrams is a small amount by any measure. But the felony classification does not require a large amount. It requires a substance that falls within the schedule and a defendant who was found in possession of it. The misdemeanor obstruction charge, produced by the refusal to exit the vehicle when officers gave a direct order, adds a second dimension to the case that prosecutors could use to paint a picture of someone who does not comply with law enforcement authority. In a jurisdiction like Georgia, where courts have dealt with high-profile cases involving the children of famous people, that kind of pattern evidence matters more than most people realize. It tells a story about attitude and approach that goes beyond the specific incident. The prior arrest history matters enormously. Georgia prosecutors preparing any case against King Harris have access to the 2022 arrest, the 2024 arrest, the outstanding bench warrant generated by the 2022 failure to appear in court, and the prior drug-related charges from that 2022 incident. Even if previous cases were resolved or dropped, their existence establishes a pattern. And in sentencing arguments, in plea negotiations, and in any trial context, that pattern is available to prosecutors making arguments about who this defendant is and how they respond to consequences. The social media response King gave immediately following the arrest, the posts containing profanity directed at the police, the provocative remarks aimed at an officer's family, the Pokemon jokes about Team Rocket, those are publicly accessible. In the age of social media evidence, anything posted publicly is discoverable and can be used in legal proceedings. Whether those specific posts create additional legal exposure remains to be seen. But they do not help. No formal statement has been issued by Harris or his representatives regarding this specific arrest. T.I. and Tiny Harris had not released a public statement as of the time this information became available. That silence from parents who have addressed their sons' previous controversies publicly. T.I. through Instagram responses, Tiny through celebratory posts designed to reframe narratives, is itself notable. The silence has been interpreted widely as an acknowledgement that this moment feels different. That the gravity of a felony charge on top of an established pattern on top of social media behavior that could complicate the legal proceedings has landed on the family in a way that previous incidents did not. Here is the thing about the footage of T.I. arriving to the facility that most of the commentary missed entirely. People talked about his body language, about his expression, about the visible weight he was carrying as he walked through those doors. And all of that was accurate, and all of that was real, and all of that resonated because people recognized it. But the deeper significance of that footage is not what it showed about T.I.'s emotional state in that specific moment. It is what it represents about a specific kind of parental experience that millions of people recognized immediately, even if they had never once thought about the Harris family before the Pikachu mugshot hit their timeline. T.I. has been inside the system, not as a visitor, as an inmate. He knows what the booking process looks like from the other side of the camera. He knows what the conversation with the attorney sounds like when the charges are real and the pattern is established and the system already has a file on you with your name at the top. He knows what federal prison feels like from the inside, the specific texture of that experience that cannot be communicated to someone who has not lived it. He spent years trying to use that knowledge, the specific hard-won understanding of someone who went through the worst consequences and came out the other side, to steer his son away from the path he recognized. He has done it in public. He has done it in interviews. He has done it through reality television and through Instagram and through every platform available to a man of his profile and reach. And the footage from that facility showed what happens when all of that effort, all of that knowledge, all of that platform, all of those resources, runs into the specific wall of a 21-year-old who has not yet found a way to feel the weight of what is accumulating around him. There is also the matter of what the Waffle House incident earlier this year revealed about how King processes public confrontations. T.I. stepped in and addressed that situation publicly through Instagram, asking why it was even newsworthy, carrying obvious frustration not just at the media cycle but at the reality that his son's behavior was consistently making headlines for the wrong reasons. That response from T.I. about the Waffle House confrontation carried something more than frustration at tabloid coverage. It carried the specific exhaustion of a parent who keeps having to step into these situations after the fact. And T.I. had also publicly celebrated King's high school graduation with honors, posting his pride for the world to see. The tension between the son who graduates with honors and the son who keeps ending up in handcuffs is the essential paradox of King Harris's public life. Both things are true simultaneously. Both things coexist in the same person. The footage of T.I. walking into that facility is the visual expression of that tension. A father watching both versions of his son, the one with potential and the one with a pattern, converge in a booking room in the middle of the night. That visual played side by side across dozens of commentary channels for days. And it resonated not because the Harris family is exceptional, but because the experience T.I. was visibly carrying in that footage is one of the most common and most painful experiences that exists. Watching someone you love move toward consequences you can see clearly and cannot stop. Here is the honest accounting of where King Harris stands after this arrest and what the next several months actually look like. The legal proceedings are active. The felony possession charge is the most serious entry in his record, and its resolution will depend on several factors. How Georgia courts classify the specific substance in the vape pen, the quality and strategy of his legal representation, the prior arrest history that is fully available to prosecutors, and whether any mitigating factors can be established in his favor in pretrial negotiations or at trial. The obstruction charge adds a second significant dimension. Courts do not look favorably on documented patterns of non-compliance with law enforcement instructions during traffic stops. And King Harris now has that pattern documented across multiple years, multiple counties, and multiple incidents. The 2022 bench warrant that was generated by his failure to appear in court. The 2024 arrest that activated that warrant. And now the 2026 obstruction charge from the decision to not exit the vehicle when officers gave a direct order. That pattern is prosecutorial ammunition. Each individual incident might be manageable on its own. Together they tell a story about someone who has consistently treated law enforcement interactions as optional rather than mandatory. And prosecutors preparing any case in Georgia where the defendant is the 21-year-old son of T.I. are going to be looking at every entry in that record. The social media behavior following the arrest is also in the record now. It is publicly accessible. Posts containing profanity directed at police officers. Provocative remarks aimed at an officer's family. Pokemon jokes about being arrested for a felony. Whether those specific posts create additional legal exposure is a question for his attorneys. But they do not help the picture being assembled in the system about who King Harris is and how he responds to accountability. T.I. and Tiny's silence continues. Parents who have historically addressed their sons' controversies publicly have not issued a statement about this arrest. That absence is being interpreted across the board as recognition, even if unspoken. That this moment is different from what came before. That the accumulation of the pattern and the seriousness of the felony charge and the social media behavior altogether has created something that a carefully worded Instagram post is not equipped to address. There is also the reality of what King Harris has waiting for him outside of whatever happens in the legal proceedings. A baby son. A young man who is now being raised by a father who has a felony charge pending and an established pattern of encounters with law enforcement that dates back 3 years. The most significant thing T.I. ever said publicly about King's direction was not in an interview or an Instagram post. It was implicit in the footage of him walking into that facility. A man who has been through the system, who knows exactly where this road leads because he drove it himself, showing up. Because showing up is the only thing left when every other tool has already been used and has not produced the outcome you needed. King Harris is 21 years old. He has accumulated more legal exposure than most people twice his age. He has every structural advantage the system offers. Money, resources, representation platform, and a father who uniquely understands exactly what he is walking toward. Whether this arrest becomes the moment that changes something or just the latest data point in a pattern that keeps compounding is a question that does not get answered on social media. It gets answered in the choices King Harris makes in the months ahead. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Do you think King Harris fully understands the weight of what is accumulating in his legal record? Do you think T.I.'s decision to show up quietly rather than issue any public statement tells you something about where the family is with all of this? And at what point does the unfiltered authenticity that King Harris defends stop being a point of pride and start being the thing that takes everything away? Thanks for watching. If you had a good time, keep the adventure alive by clicking on one of the suggested videos on your screen right now for more amazing content.